We are discussing chapter number 5, power struggles and movements. Power struggles and movements, especially in the context of democracy. We'll try to understand this. In the earlier discussions, we have seen that this power sharing is very important to democracy. Very important. And how different tiers of government, like the central government, the state government, and the Panchayati Raj, etc., how this is power is being shared, and how different social groups like the Dalits, the SC, ST, OBCs, they are given the power, or they are sharing the power, or also the males and females, or the Hindus and the Muslims and the Sikhs and the Isais, all these are sharing the power. So we'll start with that, continue our discussion, and see how those who exercise this power, or those who have power, they are constrained by the influence and pressure exerted on them. That means every time a person, he thinks or she thinks that I'm going to be a politician, he fights election, he becomes some minister or chief minister or a prime minister. So we think that this guy is having enough power, he has all the leisure, he has all the, you can say, luxury. But that is not the case. The person who is a politician or who is in the prashasan or administration, he is influenced by various pressure exerted on him, and he is constrained also. So how these pressure are being exerted? So we'll talk about these struggles that we see here and the movements. How these struggles and movements and these struggles around conflicting demands, because people are struggling for certain demands. They want something. And the pressure, this shape of the democracy. So these struggles and movements are the basic ingredient, basic backbone, or this promotes the democracy. In this and in the next one also, we will talk about, first of all, the indirect way of influencing the politics, how the pressure groups and the movements, different andolans does that. And then next thing comes is the how or what are the ways to deal with these different pressure groups and movements by forming the political parties. So as I said, you are a kid. Now you want some toy. How are you going to ask from your parents? Say your parents, you are going to ask, your parent denies. Then what you are going to do? You are going to cry. You may not be eating for one day. Okay, you may not be talking to your parents. So these are the way you are going to put your struggle or movement against the toy you want. So this is a kid asking some, or he or she has some demand asking from the parents. Similarly, you and me as a citizen, we want something from the prashasan, from the government. We want something from the government. So we will do what? If our demands are not being met or they are not being listened, we'll do struggle. We'll do movements, different movements. So how struggles around conflicting demands and pressure shape the democracy, how they create a democratic environment, and what are the ordinary citizen like you and me, which ordinary citizen can play a role in democracy, and how? Through forming different organization, going to struggles and forming the movements. But before that, let me tell you stories, different stories of two different countries. And these two are very different countries. One is Nepal, very small country, our neighboring country, and we countries have no visas. Nepalese people work here, we work there. So, we are like family. So Nepal, what happened? Nepal is we got independence around 1947, or the eras are different. Before us also, some countries got independence. After us also, some countries got independence. Now this Nepal is a third wave. This is called a third wave country. Why this is third wave country? Because it got democracy, or it won democracy in 1990, which is quite you can say not very far from what we are living today. So that is why it is called as third wave, because it got democracy, or it established democracy after what other countries have democracy. After a long time, it got this one. So now the Nepal has a democracy. King Birendra, he is King Birendra. See this family? This is King Birendra's family. He is King Birendra. Now King Birendra, he accepted this power, or you can say real power of the government, and he accepted the democracy also. And he was accepting this constitutional monarchy. That is, constitution will also be there, and I will have a king status also. But the problem was, in mysterious circumstances, this family, this royal family of King Birendra, it was massacred. All were killed. This family got killed in 2001. Now, the king, or you can say the authority who got the new king status of Nepal, he was not ready to accept the democratic rule. King Birendra has accepted it as a constitutional monarchy. But this king Gyanendra, he was not accepting it. He said, no, I am not in favor of this democracy. And he took the advantage of the democratic government, which was very unpopular in Nepal. So in February 2005, king actually dismissed, means King Gyanendra, he dismissed the elected government. He just dismissed it, and he also dismissed the then Prime Minister, and he dissolved the parliament. So he took all the control, and he just removed and dissolved the elected government by the Nepal. So what would we do? Nepal will do what? What will the people will do? Because someone has come, he might have massacred the royal family, and he is now also not in favor of democracy. He wants his role only. So now the struggle started. Nepal witnessed an extraordinary popular movement in April 2006. The movement was aimed to restore the democracy which was being ruled out by King Gyanendra. The movement of April 2006 was aimed at retaining the popular control over the government from the king. So everyone wants that the power should be taken from King Gyanendra, and now we want the power to be transferred to the elected people, that is the parliament. So all the major parties, not only the people of Nepal, all the major parties in the parliament, they forms SPA, seven-party alliance, and they called a 4-day strike. 4-day strike in Kathmandu. In the country's capital, Nepal capital is Kathmandu. Number of protesters, they reached there, and the protester number increased from 3 to 5 lakhs. 3 to 5 lakhs protesters were protesting on 21st April, and they sent an ultimatum to the King Gyanendra. Everyone sent the ultimatum. Also, the Maoist, they are against the government. They were, using the arms, killing people they are asking the government to meet their demands. These Maoists also, they came along with the people, with this SPA. Can you imagine? The people who are against government, they also came with the government. Means the outlawed government. So this happened. What this king did, he said, okay, I'll give you some concessions. I'm accepting your some demands. So he just wanted to do some daya bhav. But people, they said no. They stuck to their demand for restoration of parliament. They don't want this king pennies, like accepting some of the demands. The power to an all-party government and a new constituent assembly. Now the people wanted that. On April 24, 2004, the last day of the ultimatum, the king was forced to concede all the three demands. The king, this guy, he has to accept all the demands. Now, the SPA accepted the new Prime Minister, interim Prime Minister, as GP Koirala. Girija Prasad Koirala, he is this guy. Girija Prasad Koirala as the new Prime Minister of Nepal. And the struggle came to be known as Nepal's second movement for democracy. So we have talked about this Maoist, right? They were also in this struggle. We will tell you and we'll discuss about what we learned from this Nepal Democratic War. But before that, I'll tell you about Bolivia. Now again, these people from Bolivia, Bolivia is a very poor country. It's a very small country in Latin America. So people here, they successfully struggle against privatization of water in Bolivia. And this popular struggle, this shows the working of democracy. How people make the democracy work. So what happened? Let me tell you the problem first. Now the World Bank, Bolivia has taken a lot of money from World Bank. Now they were not able to pay. World Bank said, okay, you do what? You give all the water supply, that is the control of municipal water supply, that is the government body. Take the water supply authority and give it to the MNCs, multinational companies, Bahurashtriya company. And this happened in the city of Cochabamba. You have to remember this name, Cochabamba. Now, what happened? The government couldn't do anything. The government gave this rights for the water that has been supplied to the whole of the Bolivia to this MNC, some company. Okay, the company did what? It just increased the price by fourfold. That is, if the cost was 100 rupees, they made it 400 rupees. If a person who is earning 5,000 rupees, the cost of water was 1,000 rupees. If you see, if you are earning 5,000, you are paying 1,000 only for water, what will you do? You have nothing to do. You have to protest. You have to go against the government. You have to come on the roads like these people. So they actually did this. They came onto the roads. They demanded that this MNC should be abolished, it should be sent away, and the water control should be taken up by the government. It has to be controlled by the government. So, some kind of things happened, but and the protest stopped, but negotiation failed. Nothing happened. So the police now, when the protest again started, next time the protest started in January 2000, this happened, and after that also, again the protest started. Now what police did? See, the police started to hit these people. Means the agitation, it was brutal repression by the government and the police. Then what happened? The government has to bow down because people were not ready to step back. Even the MNC people, the adhikari of the people, the MNC, you can say the people of MNC adhikaris, they just left. They just left the country, the city, and finally, because of the power of these people, the government has to restore the power supply to the government only. That is the municipality, and the old rates, that is the 100 rupees, not 400, were restored. So these are two very popular democracy and popular struggles in democracy. So what we saw in Nepal, let us understand these two. What we thought in Nepal, or we understood in Nepal, is the fight was to establish the democracy, right? While the struggle in Bolivia was the elected government was there, elected democratic government was there, and the government was not taking care of the people. They were not able even to supply the water in that rate, that is the cheaper rates. They just gave the power of supplying the water, the basic ingredient, basic requirement of any human being, to the MNCs. So both these struggles were successful, and the impact was just because the people, they were involved in the struggle and the movements. So there are certain conclusions which we can draw. First, what are the conclusions we draw from these two struggles? First is democracy evolves through popular struggles. So if somebody is struggling or fighting, not like this, but with ahimsa, without using the arms, if someone is struggling, having movements, then it is good for democracy. Democracy evolves like this, right? Sometimes it may happen that some decision is taken by the government, you talk to government and government accepts it. But sometimes the government becomes, you can say, anarchist government or Nazi type government, and they are not accepting, they are not even listening to your demand. They are just using their power and they are not listening to your any demand. What will you do? You'll do exactly what Bolivian people have done. That is why democracy becomes so important. Democracy, or you can say democratic conflict, is resolved through this mass mobilization. If there is some conflict, there is some problem, as we saw, the problem was there in Nepal, the problem was in Bolivia. So the mob mobilized. Sometimes it is possible that the conflict is resolved by using the institution we have. Say the parliament can solve it, or say judiciary can solve it. But the dispute, if it is greater, if the dispute is very difficult, पेंच है इसमें, so the resolution has to come from the people. The people has to come forward. They have to come and mobilize themselves. Then the third thing which we understood by these two different examples is the conflict and the mobilization are based on new political organization. Like there is a demand of spontaneity. We have seen in past also, that is the public participation becomes very effective with the help of organized politics. So there can be many agencies, not only politics, there can be many agencies of organized politics. This includes political parties, pressure groups and movement groups. So finally we understood that the political parties can be there, the pressure groups can be there, and the movement groups can be there. These all are the means of mass mobilization, trying to solve the conflicts and try to let the government know that what are their demands, what are their problems. So coming to this mobilization in organization, as we saw in Nepal, 7-party alliance, SPA, along with Maoist, they were against each other, they were fighting with each other, but the 7-party alliance, the Maoist also came, then that is, this Maoist was called as Nepalese Communist Party. Nepalese Communist Party. Now only SP or Maoist has not done it by itself. Along with this, there are other people also which came along with them. That is the labor unions, the federations, different federations, and many other organizations like the independent or indigenous people, the teachers, the lawyers, the human rights groups. They all came together, then only they represented their demands, and what demands they have represented, the government has to, not the government, King Gyanendra has to listen to it, because if so many people are protesting, so many people are in the struggle, they are saying something, the Satta Adhari or the government or Prashasan has to listen. So mobilization and organization, if you see in Bolivia, there was no party, there was no political party in Bolivia, there was no political party who were protesting against this water privatization. Nobody said that water is the basic requirement. Without water, how can we live? If you increase the amount of water or roti, kapda, makan, this is the basic things, and water is one of the important things without which nobody can live. Without air, without water, nobody can live. But not a single political party raised any kind of demand or protest against this. So this was led by FEDECOR. This is an organization called FEDECOR, and this organization comprised of whom? This organization has local professionals, engineers, environmentalists. This is FEDECOR. So the movement was supported by the Socialist Party, and this Socialist Party, because it was supporting these FEDECOR and the basic requirement of water not being privatized by the NNC, so that is how this party in 2006 came into power in Bolivia. So these examples, we can see that in democracy, several different kinds of organizations, they work together. Not only the political party, even an individual citizen is very important. So most of the organizations, they work behind any struggle, not a single being. So these organizations, they play their role in two ways. First, they can form a political party. They can join a political party. The obvious way of influencing the decision in a democracy for the government, of the government, that is the prashasan or administration, the direct participation is the first way. That is, if you say, my community is being, is marginalized, I have to do something. So I will tell you, come to politics, be a politician, make a party, come into the election, win, and try to be a vidhayak or a corporator or say an MP, and then work for your community. So this is one way. That is, सीधा चुनाव लड़ना, party banana. This is the first way. Second thing is indirect ways. Indirect ways is what? That you can form certain organization, you can form certain groups. These are called some interest groups. These are called some pressure groups, and you can make these different groups and pressure groups, and then you can ask government, because this group becomes very important when the people grows. Because every politician has to take vote from someone. Some pressure groups, these pressure groups also involves people. They also have votes. So this government has to listen to these groups. So what you can do, either you go directly to the politics, or you can make this interest group or pressure groups. These are the two ways. So form pressure groups or interest groups like this, or another organization, any organization you want. So let us talk about this pressure groups and movements. This we are going to discuss in the next discussion. So till then, thank you so much and take care of yourself.